and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. I'm a military veteran turned filmmaker. I found my spark in the military, and now I'm here to help you find yours. Inside Plug is a platform for your voice, stories to be shared, and ideas to flourish. Let's dive in and plug into creativity and entrepreneurship together. Today, welcome back. We have Michael Lake. He's an actor, a writer, a producer. He has some current films that he's been working on. Got a film called Edwin that he was the star of, and then also a film called The Treatment that he played in. Michael, welcome back to the show. So last time you was here, you were
Thank you so
working
much for having me
on,
back. Yeah.
I believe was it a short film that you were working on? The last film? All right.
The films that you just referenced, Edwin is a feature film that's currently streaming on Tubi in North America. It's kind of a psychological thriller that's about a screenwriter trying to finish his masterpiece that kind of encounters some darkness and some oddities along the way. I think probably the last time we spoke, I was actually working on the treatment, and we have had a pretty good response to that so far. We've had some private screenings and some public ones, and we've been getting some good press off of it on TV, on the radio, and such. So yeah, it's been a really exciting journey.
All right. So let's talk about some inspiration. So as a actor, what do you say? Maybe some books or some mentors or even acting classes. What's something that inspired you to take your pursuit in acting?
I pretty much want to get into acting just because I watched an extraordinary amount of TV shows and movies as a kid. I think I was maybe always subtly picking up on, little things, little traits here and there that I've always responded to. I remember Tom Hanks was my favorite actor right out of the gate ever since I was a kid. But a very solid working man's actor, journeyman sort of actor that I think everyone should watch is Michael Caine. Actually hosts a masterclass on acting, which taught me quite a bit about the physicality of acting. It's an extraordinary thing. I think you can watch the whole thing for free on YouTube. But
All right. So when it comes to acting, and you're deciding a role, would you say you're more focused on the character or the story, or maybe both?
A bit of both. Yeah, I like characters with complexity. I like the character to have a little bit of depth. If he's got a name, a backstory, an occupation, I think that's really important to crafting a character and helping the actor craft a character. But I really do like just finding a good script and connecting with people who write really well. Usually my litmus test is kind of like, do I want to read this all in one sitting? Because ideally you're watching a movie all in one sitting. So that's kind of my barometer for how much I like a script, is if it just compels me to keep reading. I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I have all this laundry to fold. I'm just really locked into the world. So strong writing is definitely something I look into.
Have you had to overcome any obstacles during your acting career? Like, maybe there's a role that was a bit challenging that you expected?
Yeah, I mean, it's like diving into acting, you have to have extremely thick skin. You're going to audition over and over again before you book anything. And the exception that proves the role is like really beyond measure. But like, yeah, I do like it when a role demands a little bit from you physically. I have done that kind of thing. I did this one film called Waco, Mad Men or Messiah, that is sort of about the 90s fanaticism around this cult leader named David Koresh, and they did a really amazing job kind of rebuilding his compound. But that actually came with like all these crazy technical aspects, like running through like running like under like or crawling rather under barbed wire, and like all these like pyrotechnics and stuff like that. And they really just did, you know, kind of put us through real sort of military kind of procedures. And that was really obviously very physically involving. But then there's also the roles where are just, you know, you need to be very, very locked in mentally. You just sort of are told, we have 12 pages of dialogue to get through today, and you just have to zero in and make that your entire focus. I love both. I mean, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't.
All right. So what's like? Do you have like a creative routine? So like,
that, or
you have like a flow on how do you get into the character, or how does that work for you?
Yeah. I am an early riser. I like to do as much work as I possibly can in the morning. I like to kind of be awake and mentally, physically kind of alert. And then maybe after a cup of coffee or two, I'll sit down with maybe whatever script I'm tackling that day, whether it be like an audition or something filming later that day or the next day or on the weekend or whatever. And I like, I'm not a big highlighter. I don't make a lot of notes on my script, but I make a ton of mental notes. I will usually go through the script pretty methodically, break down exactly how much has to be done, break down how much I say, how much my scene partner says. I think a very useful tip for breaking down a scene, I don't claim credit for this tip, but I like looking at how many questions a character is asked in a scene, because that's usually a good motivator of how the scene is going. You know, if the character is being interrogated or is interrogating someone himself. I find the call on response is the easiest way for me to memorize lines. And yeah, sometimes depending on the text, depending on the volume of the text, sometimes I'll just drill the lines by rote. Sometimes I'll, you know, just lock in for 20 minutes and try to memorize the whole thing, or I'll jump on a Zoom call with my scene partner and try to drill the lines a few times. Or sometimes there's none of that, and we just kind of build it all in the day. But yeah, discipline and routine have always kind of been a hallmark of.
Nice. Thanks for that. All right. So let's take us back a little bit from the
anyone that wants to learn.
When you're deciding a role and you have to go on for audition. How was your first audition like, and how does it compare to your current auditions?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Auditions used to give me a bundle of nerves, and I would always get, regardless of how prepared I was, because I would always try to be as prepared as possible, I would get anxious about it. It would be my entire day, if not my entire week, and I would just find the experience. I would find the experience intimidating. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I used to find but I have actually, at least I'd like to think, I've adopted a much mentally healthier approach to it as I've matured a bit as an actor. I have learned to compartmentalize auditions. I don't get hung up on them. I prepare for them, and I do the best I could possibly do in the room, but I've also kind of accepted that anything that happens there is out of my control. The moment that audition is done, that text is gone. It's out of my head. I'm not thinking about it anymore. And I'm not thinking about what happened in that room. I'm just thinking, okay, if they get back in touch with me, that's good. That's a nice, happy surprise. I'm going to free myself of expectations, regardless of how well or poorly it went. And yeah, if they want to call me back, then that's up to them. I've just really had to adapt that notion that you can't obsess over them. There are so many factors that go into an audition that are just outside of your control. And for better or for worse, you know, sometimes you will just be that lucky person, and you'll just have the role the moment you step in the room. But, you know, for those million other times, you just got to break.
Has there ever been a time where you thought that, oh man, I don't think I got that, I'm not sure about that, and then you find out that you did get it, like you did get the role?
Yeah, that has happened a bit to me, and it's yeah, it really just feeds into what I was saying. I had just completely removed myself from the idea of actually landing the role, and then they've reached out, they've called me or emailed me, and it's like, yeah, you can never quite, you can never quite know everything that someone is thinking. They may well see something in you that you can't even see in yourself. So yeah, it's been a happy surprise.
All right, real quick, let's plug yourself. Where can people hear about your projects? Where can people keep up with you? How can they find you?
Yeah, I post a lot on my personal Instagram, so that's at the Michael Lake. My company Instagram is Hologround Pictures, and that is the company that produced the films I was talking about. Both of them actually, Edwin, and I was a co-producer on The Treatment. We also have several films right now in post-production.
All right. So would you want to share a little bit more about the current projects you're working on? How did you find the part? How did you get in contact with let's say, the director, and how are you feeling? Like, the role. Like, is this a new role that you're playing? Is this a role that you're used to?
Yeah, a lot of the things I'm working on right now, I've kind of had the good fortune of working with people that I have worked with before, and I always appreciate that comfortability, that familiarity. You just lock into how people work, and you can work with them again. Edwin, for example, was a great example. We made that film. It had a successful run on the festival circuit, then came out on streaming, and then like right away we're just thinking, what's the next thing? We made a movie during the pandemic called My Dying Heart, and then we made a couple other follow-up films. One is called The Dark Factor, and one is called Down a Dark Street, and they were all just kind of really born out of this desire to create and just keep making great films with talent that we were familiar with. And then The Treatment kind of came along in a sort of similar way. I had worked with the director David Conroy before on a short film, and I saw his casting call, and I always think to myself, it's never a sure thing, even if you worked with the person before, but the thing that he was casting for was so conceptually unique and bizarre and just something I wanted to be a part of. So I just thought, yeah, I'm going to go for this. And the sample scene that we were given was from quite a popular movie, so I just tried not to copy the actor, but rather to kind of interpret my own take on the character. And yeah, we had a lot of fun producing that one, and I am currently, actually, very, very currently, as in literally today, just walked off the set working with him again on another film. That film is called The Dreamers of Fay Woods, and it's got its roots in Irish folklore and kind of fantasy, and it's sort of like a family adventure story. So it's a bit different than some of the other fare that I've.
So when you're not on the set and you're just trying to relax and escape from the big screen, where do you like to go to travel? Like, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite traveling spot that you like to go to?
Yeah. We have a really nice cottage that's about 90 minutes from where I live, a kind of generational family cottage, and I just love being by water. I grew up a swimmer, and I always just love being on the beach, being on the water, and it's in a rather small town. But I also just love big cities too. Like, I will happily walk around like New York City and just entertain myself for like days. Yeah, I really love it across the pond too. I really love London, and we shot Down a Dark Street in Scotland, and I think
Nice.
Scotland's absolutely beautiful.
All right, so I remember last time Destiny kind of went over, you have your favorite snack, right? Was like popcorn. You have like you love your popcorn lover.
I am impressed that you remember that and you brought that up. That is true to this day. Anytime it's movie night in my house or out and about at the cinema, I can't not have a popcorn. There's literally times when I'm just like, maybe tonight will be the night I don't, and then I can't not. Yep. To this day, that's my favorite snack. It is popcorn is kind of the eponymous title of my writing too. I wrote a sort of a series of vignettes called
Forward to seeing that.
Extra Large.
All right, so besides snack, all right, so being that popcorn is your favorite snack, what's your favorite meal? Like what's your go-to meal if you're out and about?
I mean, I absolutely love Italian food. I could have any kind of pasta and be perfectly happy. I really love Middle Eastern food too. I really love shawarma and rice.
All right, so let's get back to acting real quick. So you have actors who are in TV shows and actors who are in, films. Have you had experience in both areas? And if so, do you have a preference on which one you like?
Ever since I was a kid, I mean, I really was just like a movie guy, and I've definitely evolved into a cinephile. I'm always more comfortable like taking in like a 2-hour movie than like committing to like a new show or something like that. Just for my personal like watch preferences. And yeah, that has kind of been I have done experience in both, and I've dabbled in both short and long form kind of content, but I think, yeah, the independent film scene is what has made me the most comfortable. I just really like, working on a film with like a good group of people, a specific narrative that's going to be like 90, 100 minutes like that. Yeah, that's definitely my comfort zone. I really love doing stuff in independent film. I just really love movies. Like they've been my life.
Anything you want to share with the audience? Anything you want to throw out there that we haven't went over? So you got some aspiring actors out there that's looking to start their path, or maybe they're on their journey right now. Anything you want to share to help them out?
I think if you want to be an actor, you just got to tell everyone. I mean, actors do love to tell everyone, do love to talk about themselves, but I don't think you ever need to be afraid of kind of censoring yourself or being quiet about what you want to do. Even if you don't exactly think that telling someone you want to be an actor will get you anything of that particular social situation, you really don't know who you could be talking to. I feel like the more people you just got to tell what you want to do, you never know who can kind of connect you or put you in the right place. And and I think if you want to do it, you find a way to do it as much as you possibly can. Do something every day, do something several times a week, read plays with friends, make movies with your friends, audition for everything and anything you can. And yeah, there's
any tips you want to give them?
There's always an
like auditions if they're going out there, maybe getting headshots out there. Maybe how many headshots did they get? Like 2 to 3, 3 to 5, one every year, every 2 years.
Yeah, most photographers I've worked with personally usually give you about 3 to 5 looks, and it's kind of recommended you maybe do it every other year, maybe every year, every other year. I'd say every 1 to 2 years. And like we sort of touched on this as to how I approach auditions, but I would say, go out there, do the very best you can, and just.
All right, everyone, that was Michael Lake sharing his advice for those aspiring actors out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning into Inside Plug. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it inspiring. Remember, every journey begins with a single step, and every creator has a story worth sharing. If you love what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on InsidePlug.com. Your feedback helps us bring you more content. Until next time, keep creating. Devon Jones signing off. Stay inspired.